Have you ever been choked out?
Choked out? Yes, actually, yeah. It's quite a terrible feeling, let me tell you. Rear naked choke, that's like one of the worst chokes. Oh my gosh, I hate it. You feel like you're gonna die. Your eyes are kind of closing. You're like starting to pass out. You're like, oh man, am I about to, and then,
right?
And then you don't know what happened or what happened.
Welcome to the MMA Brotherhood Podcast, where we take mixed martial arts techniques as redemptive analogies and apply it to our everyday life. In today's episode, we discover how deadly a rear naked choke can be, and uncover the steps to escape, not only on the mat, but in your life as well. Please enjoy this episode.
You have an escape. You have an escape. You got to create the distance between you and what's choking you out, and you got to break that stronghold. Hey, so welcome to this week's MMA Brotherhood's Redemptive Analogy Podcast. And this is our first one. So this is pretty exciting. Why don't we give a round of applause real quick for being our first one? Yeah.
Let's go.
Totally excited for this. How about you guys? You a little excited?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Super excited.
So Coach Adam, why don't you give kind of a brief intro on what this is all about?
All right, so like Senpai Brian said, this is our first ever MMA Brotherhood podcast. So what we're going to do here is look at some redemptive analogies and take some techniques and stuff that you would learn from MMA and see how they kind of apply to real life and how it would work in day-to-day life.
Yeah. So a lot of people, for some reason, well, I know not just for some reason, but for that reason, they look at MMA or specifically Nikito Kai as a self-defense or a combat sport, you know, something that they can get skill sets to punch somebody in the face with, right? But it's so much more than that. It is when you really look at the holistic piece of Nikito Kai, it is there are so many life lessons within it that you can apply to your daily lives. And really that's what we're going to do is we're going to take pieces of Nikito Kai every week. We're going to take a little, what I call golden nugget, and we're going to open it up. We're going to take a look at the MMA part and see how we can apply that fully into our lives. So pretty excited about that. So
Yeah, very cool.
It's going to be fun.
Hey, would you also kind of give briefly, so this is MMA Brotherhood. The MMA Brotherhood is a podcast, and MMA Brotherhood is a piece of?
So the MMA Brotherhood is a piece of the MMA Youth Outreach. So the MMA Youth Outreach is a nonprofit that we have here. The goal of which is really to get at-risk youth and teens. So at-risk kind of those that might have been exposed to drugs or abuse or worse comes to receiving trafficking and that kind of stuff, and try to keep them from becoming a statistic. So we want to bring them into the dojo, teach them some self-defense, give them a family for them to lean on and get help and earn or learn confidence and discipline. So
yeah, and hopefully by doing that, we're going to really impact those numbers, right? Number of kids that are being sex trafficked or kidnapped or whatever else it is. Those that are at risk of walking down a pathway that leads to destruction or leads to crime or leads to drugs or alcohol addictions or whatever it is, and help them build a pathway to success. So that's pretty awesome. So again, this is a piece of MMA Youth Outreach. This is the MMA Brotherhood, designed for the guys, the men, a place for the men to really kind of come together and not only learn some great skill sets and some self-defense, but also to get the mental piece, because really we don't want to just work on our physical state. That's great, but we, as men, really need to work on our mental state as well, and our spiritual state. So the whole thing. So, what do we always say?
mind over power.
Mind over power.
Us.
Yeah, that's right. And just to give a shout out, Two Knuckles MMA and Fitness Franchise. This is sponsored by Two Knuckles MMA Fitness franchise. So pretty excited about that. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to you guys on that one. So what's the topic today?
So the topic for today we're gonna go over is the rear naked choke.
Yeah. Rear naked choke. Hey, by the way, let's because it's the first one, we need to do this. Why don't we give just a brief introduction of who we are and why we got into this thing?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can go ahead and start. So I'm Coach Adam. I've been here since last year. I got into mixed martial arts, and specifically this one because I'm prior military service. I was in the Marine Corps. And I wanted to find a place that wasn't just about beating up people and stuff like that. I wanted more than that. I wanted discipline. I wanted that confidence. And being from the Marine Corps, I am from a brotherhood and stuff like that. And I was very fortunate enough to find this place. And we focus a lot on the mental aspect of things. I mean, we do a lot of great techniques and all that other stuff. But for me, it's about being part of that family. So
Awesome.
Yes.
Senpai.
What's up, everybody? My name is Senpai Ninos, and the reason why I joined MMA in general was I was one of these people confused in life, didn't know which way to go, going down the wrong path, almost getting myself into some serious trouble here and there. I was starting to get a little bit on the wrong route by getting a little violent, and I was like, you know what? Something happened where I had to draw that straw. I was like, I got to do something with my life. I decided mixed martial arts. A lot of people will be like, why mixed martial arts? Well, first of all, I've been thinking about mixed martial arts since I was a kid. Growing up, just like we talk about people getting bullied, I used to get bullied as well. So I grew up fighting a lot. It wasn't the technical martial arts, just street fighting, being an idiot, just going out there, swinging your heart out, seeing who wins. But throughout life, I always knew I wanted to get better at martial arts because of all those times I lost as a child. And then when I got older and then started going down the wrong path, it hit me. I was like, all right, we're going to do this once and for all. No more waiting. Here we are. Came to Two Knuckle Sports. Found Hanchi, found everybody, found Shihan, Miss Laura, shout out. They all helped me out. Now I'm here 2 years later, and we're just trying to change the world like it changed me. So thank you guys for this opportunity, and also for MMA Brotherhood. If you guys need a place, people to talk to, come talk to us. We're located in Surprise, Arizona. Headquarters are over here. If you want, you could always give us a call too. Drop a comment in the boxes. Let us know if you have any questions you'd like us to go over. Yeah. But anyway, that's enough about me. Senpai Brian, thank you so much.
Hey, just to add to that, and the best guy to get privates from is that guy right there. So seriously, he's a wealth of knowledge and really, really great at leading you into this. So for me, it was my boy. My boy came in here. We were looking at it for him. His Aunt Mimi was going to sponsor him. Wanted him to have some activity to do. I knew that it was a lifestyle. So for me, I'm like, man, I don't want to give that much, Most of the time, I didn't have a problem out there in the world. People didn't want to mess with me. I don't know why, but they were always afraid of me.
Maybe it's the height. I know a lot of people, the height intimidates them a little bit.
I just thought maybe people thought I was Shrek or something. I don't know. So I just gave it that. So, but the more that I started to be the senpai parent, and get involved with him and kind of living through him, and started to do the kicks, started to do the work. I was getting pretty heavy and feeling pretty awful. So we got involved with the fitness class. Lost 30 pounds. Felt great. Started feeling really good. And thought, man, if I'm going to do the work, I might as well get the belts for it too. So
learn something too.
And then of course you add on to meeting Shihan and Ahanchi and then listening to their vision. Building up families and I saw it. I saw the healing that was going on in the dojo. families that were broken, families that were struggling, and something magic just happens, you know. So here I am tasting what it's like to actually learn some skill set instead of just being a bully out there, learning some skill set, having that coupled with the culture of honor and discipline and respect, and all of a sudden my whole family's involved. So now my wife's a senpai and a leader here, and she's leading the other half of this, the women's We Unite, Women Empowered. Man, her class is rocking, and so I encourage you, if you've got a lady, or if you are a lady listening, get involved, man. You're gonna enjoy it. So I want to give a shout out over there, and that's me in a nutshell. Why I got involved, but this whole thing, just the MMA Brotherhood, place for guys to get together, to have a place to process, to have a place to bounce things off of, on top of a release, you know, of a physical release. It's I think every man will benefit from it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
Especially the ones who, lone, don't really have any friends, no family, you need someone to hang out with, talk to.
yeah,
Somebody good to hang out with.
Yes, somebody good to hang out with, actually be able to talk constructive criticism and help you make progress in life, not just entertain you and get you nowhere in life.
Yeah,
So that's,
yeah.
That's what we're about.
Bottom line, you input junk, and you're gonna output junk, right? You input good stuff, good lessons, life lessons. You're gonna output those things, and so that's really what this podcast is all about. Is taking a look at what we're learning and really breaking it down and applying it fully, And so you would think a rear naked choke, for example. We've seen it. We've seen how nasty and dirty it is, but and how in the world can a rear naked choke give you a great life lesson? But within it, it's golden. It's amazing. It's a nugget, So, so diving into it, have you ever been choked out?
Choked out? Yes, actually, yeah. It's quite a terrible feeling, let me tell you.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
How about you?
Not fun.
Yeah, same. I
Okay.
mean, fortunately, never just randomly out in the street. But again, in the Marine Corps, we would grapple and we would train, and it gets rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
terrible.
So yours happened in a training session where it was purposed.
Yeah, well, it's the Marine Corps. You got to train. You got to.
Yeah.
I don't want to quite say fight each other, but I mean, you got to
Yeah.
get as close to the real thing as you can, and
Yeah.
when done correctly, it absolutely works
Yeah.
Absolutely.
very quickly.
And yours?
A rear naked choke over here in the dojo, just during sparring from rolling, just going against certain people. Eventually, sometimes when you don't know what you're doing, especially when you're starting out, you give up a lot of opportunities for the opponent. And when they know what they're doing, they find those opportunities, they take them. And rear naked choke, that's like one of the worst chokes. Oh my gosh, I hate it. You feel like you're going to die. You're like, life is just squeezing out of you. You're like your eyes are kind of closing. You're like starting to pass out. You're like, oh man, am I about to, and then,
Right.
and then you don't know what happened. You're like, what happened? So
So you actually went out?
oh yeah, I've been out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how everyone's experience is, but when it happened to me, I woke up. I was like kind of confused. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
But then I remembered. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And how about yours? Did you go all the way?
I did not go all the way out, fortunately, but I saw people, they would try to tough it out because we would do demonstrations, and it's like, okay, when you feel it tap, and they're like, oh, don't tough it out because you're gonna go out,
Yep.
and they
Yeah.
would try to tough it out, and next thing they're like,
Ego.
Yeah.
You gotta get rid of that ego.
and they're out.
So I actually experienced it in a real fight
Okay.
in high school. It was kind of a real stupid story, but there was this jerk kid in high school that was stealing my buddy's smokes.
Okay.
Not like we should have been smoking in high school, shouldn't have been in the first place. But my buddy was weak and little and couldn't fight, and so I stood up for him, and I told the dude, "Hey, back off," And of course, so he wanted to fight me behind the library after school, across the street. So I went over there, and he shows up and we start scrapping, fighting, and I had him on the ground, and I'm just pounding him, doing some ground pounding. And I'm sitting kind of in help me out here. Mount position, yeah. And I'm sitting in mount position, just beating him, and I don't know how he did it, but he actually took his two legs, crossed them, and wrapped me and grabbed me by my throat and pulled me back.
Okay.
Like, flipped me back,
Dang.
and I landed, and then somehow he got me in a double chokehold. So he's on his back, I'm on his stomach, and he's choking me out, and I can't get him off. Like I'm going out. Everything's fading, everything's blacking out.
Yep.
And I hear the people around me do, dude, let him go. He's turning blue. And the dude said something in a very rude way that said, he ain't letting go. And so at that point, I knew, hey, I'm going to pass out. I'm going out. And he's going to beat the crap out of me. Like, he's just going to pound me, and I might die, you know? So I knew that was at the point where I either had to, with everything I had, to do something, or I was possibly going to die. So,
Yep. So
Yeah.
what'd you do? What happened?
well, so let's move to this, and I'll tell you the end of that story for a second. But
Sounds good.
So let's just clarify. So tell me, what does it mean to get into a rear naked choke? So what is the guy doing? How does he get you in it?
So he, first of all, you're gonna want to get the back position, wrap one arm around the neck, grab your bicep, and then put the other hand behind his head, and all you're gonna do is choke and squeeze until he passes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure. Some people, they have some really strong chins, so you got to get your hand, tuck it under that chin. You really got to get it. But once you get a rear naked choke, for the most part, it's usually, if you get a good one, it's usually a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's not only choking the air, but it's actually choking out the blood too. So,
Yup.
so you don't have very much time.
Definitely. You got to make a decision within a few seconds. So you got to know what to do. You got to practice. This is where all the repetition and practice kicks in. So that way you know how to get out of it.
Well, yeah. So when you're in a rear naked choke, like we just talked about, for me, I felt like I'm going to die. You know, you feel these feelings of anxiety. You feel these feelings of everything crushing down. You had mentioned that everything's just closing in on you.
Yeah, just like you said, feels like everything's just fading into darkness, and you know, like,
Yeah.
like it's like you better get out of this, otherwise it's too late.
So let's take that feeling now, and when might somebody feel those feelings besides being in a rear naked choke?
If we're talking about the regular person,
Yeah.
I would say a lot of people stressed out, just their everyday lives at work. Maybe some people with their road rage incidents, because everything's just built up and they're trying to take out the anger at that one person who cut them off. And then, they feel like everything's closing in. They're not thinking rational. This is where, this is where you need to talk out your problems sometimes. Sometimes you got to communicate with some people.
Yeah.
You can't just let it all build up, because you just never know where it's going to lead you. And
Yeah.
for me, being in a rear naked choke, man, it's like one of the scariest things to be in, because you don't know what's about to happen. Just like you said, they could choke you out, might try to kill you afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So have you ever felt those same feelings that you felt being in that choke? Have you ever felt those outside of being in a choke?
Yeah. As much as I don't like admitting to it, yeah. Just with the day-to-day stresses of life, they build up. You start to feel that anxiety, and for some it might even go into depression, and it feels exactly like what it is in a choke. Everything
Bingo.
is just
Yeah.
crowding in, and you feel helpless.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, you just start to panic.
yep.
And you don't really know what to do. You don't know how to get out of it. So,
You don't think straight. You make the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
yep.
Just like
Yeah.
in life.
I remember there was a time in high school where, man, the whole world was just crashing down. Mm-hmm. Everything was going wrong. My parents were getting a divorce. My mom was in a bad relationship with somebody that was actually beating her. He was an alcoholic. my mother, as a result, was getting involved with drugs and alcohol and was becoming physically abusive for us. Mm-hmm. And I remember just laying in my bed one night and just feeling that same feeling, like everything's just coming down. Like I may not survive this, you know? And I remember saying, look, Lord, if you could just take me away and it be like I was never here, you know, and just take me away. And then maybe later bring me back and it'd be like I was always here, right? Mm-hmm. So I literally laid in my bed, holding my breath for as long as I possibly could to see if maybe that was going to be the trigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know you've got a heart for people that feel that way, you know, that struggle with thoughts of suicide and whatnot. Not that my thought was, I knew I didn't want to result to suicide. Mm-hmm. You know, I just wanted to be taken. Just take me instead. Mm-hmm. You know, but I mean, how many people really deal with suicidal thoughts because the whole world is crashing in like that rear naked choke? You know, they're feeling like the world is choking them out. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, I mean, from a military perspective, at least from a Marine Corps, so I was military police, and so I got to work in the dispatch center, and when we worked nights, we were happy if we didn't get a call that night about like a suicide ideation or an attempt or anything like that. So for me, it's very near and dear to me because that mental struggle is there, absolutely. And I know Marines get kind of like a bad stigma of being these, I guess, almost heartless fighters, these heartless war machines, which I guess we're sort of trained to be. But at the end of the day, we're still a person. We're still people. And
that's hard mentally.
It's extremely hard. Fortunately, I have had a good support system most of my life. But I mean, the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life, not just at any particular point, is finding out that we lost a Marine due to suicide and having to call the command and tell them that we lost one. Because in the Marine Corps, we're all brothers, we're all sisters. I mean, I get a little emotional talking about it, but that's why what we're doing here is so important.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in the military or, you know, a soldier or an airman or a seaman or anything to struggle. You can be just a regular day-to-day guy and still struggle with stuff. So
that's awesome. Totally awesome.
Yeah.
And so here's the great thing. Though somebody getting you into a rear naked choke is pretty much lights out, right?
Yes.
There actually is
Almost.
an escape. There actually is an escape. I actually saw this recently. Volkanovski was in a deep choke.
Oh.
And he lasted and got out of it.
Are you talking about the guillotine from Brian Ortega?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that one. Those guillotines are no joke either.
Oh, that was
Those
nasty.
ones are crazy.
So there's an escape for a rear naked choke.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what does it look like? Tell me what the rear naked choke escape is.
So, for instance, let's say they have you in a full choke. Whichever hand is on the back. Let's say they got me. One hand's here. And they have the other hand in the back. My first goal is to try to scrape that hand off first, and then from there work my way to fight this hand around my neck, and then throw it over kind of like a baseball. Turn my body into them. It's a lot easier if I could show you rather than say it. But there's definitely steps to prevent a rear naked choke from happening. You just have to practice it, and I'm sure we could eventually pull up some videos on it too, where we could show you guys some examples of how to do it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How about Adam? What are some of the steps?
So for me, the first one is don't give your back to the opponent. That's the first one.
Right.
But for me, at least my brain, the first one that's most important is tuck the chin. Because you have to create that space. If they're going in for your throat, you put your chin down, and now it's harder to get that forearm into there. They really can't. Yeah, it's gonna hurt your chin, but I can breathe.
Yeah.
So if I can breathe, I can fight.
Yeah.
At least fight back. So that's the first step for me, is tucking the chin.
Okay.
Tuck the chin.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I love what you said. You got to peel it off, right? You
Yep.
got to peel off.
That's when they already got it in. But first step, definitely tuck the chin.
Tuck the
Make sure
chin.
they don't get that choke. But if it's too late, they already have it.
So you got to create space between you and whatever's choking you,
Right.
and tuck that chin down so that you can at least breathe, right?
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And then once you do that, what's the next step?
Well,
if you're going to create the space, okay, now you can at least breathe, and you've created that space between you and what's choking, okay?
Well, so now I got to get that arm up and over.
Yeah,
I have to get it.
You got
I
to
have to
break
break
the
it.
stronghold.
I have to break that hold.
And-
that's on me.
So what do we call it? You remember?
Baseball grip, right? Oh, 2-on-1.
2-on-1. 2-on-1. Why?
Well,
Why?
so to the baseball grip that we do is a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So it's the two hands, so 2, and then on the 1, so it's 2-on-1.
Yeah. So you've got to actually overstrength whatever
fight
it is
through it.
that's
You have to
stronghold,
overpower it.
right?
You have to
So
overpower it.
you got to work hard to break the stronghold.
Right.
So this to me is fantastic, perfect, golden nugget life lessons.
Yep.
When things are choking you out, right? When things are causing your world to collapse and to fall in, which we felt before. And for those that struggle with strong anxiety, man, they feel it on a regular basis. The escape, whether it's a rear naked choke or whether it's a life choke, is you first got to create the space between whatever it is that's choking you.
I love that.
Between you and whatever it's choking you, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
so let's say it's drugs. Okay, if drugs is what's choking you out, you've got to create the space between you and the drugs. If it's temptations for sexual sin, right, or having an affair, you've got to create the space between you and that person.
You got to get rid of that bad influence.
You got to get rid of it. You got to create the space. And then once you create the space and you've given yourself the ability to breathe again, then you've got to work hard to break that stronghold.
You got to fight it.
Because that stronghold is still there, right? Just because you created the space and you've been able to breathe doesn't mean they don't have the lock on you, right? You've got to work hard to break the stronghold. And we do it by 2-on-1. We do it by doubling up our strength against whatever it is,
Yes, absolutely.
right? So what does that look like for somebody that's dealing with an addiction?
An addiction, I would say, for instance, you're, like you said, doing drugs. First step, create the space. Now, when you create the space, that's just the first step. Obviously, like you said, you have to fight out of it because the temptation's always going to be there. There might be those bad influences, maybe the wrong people you were hanging out with. They're still going to try to contact you. That's the part you got to fight. You created the space, but now you got to keep the space. Yeah. From there, you got to fight. That means you got to change up your life habits. Maybe if you don't work out, go to the gym, lift some weights. If you don't lift weights, go do some MMA. If you don't do MMA, at least eat healthy, drink a lot of water, and get some sunshine, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you could do, but creating the space is just the first step.
Yeah.
Well, just to bring it back to the intro part is, or something that we might have talked about earlier, is junk in, junk out. It's the same concept here.
Yeah.
So you have to change up what you're doing. So you have to do, instead of the junk in, junk out, it's good in, good out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna tell you a story on that junk in, junk out. Okay. So I struggled with smoking, and so I was gaining some weight, started to get heavy, and I remembered, hey, when I smoked, I was pretty thin. So I don't know what it was about my mental thinking, but I thought if I started smoking again, I would lose weight. It was actually quite the opposite, completely opposite. So I started smoking again, but I was hiding it from my wife.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want my wife and kids to know that I smoked because that's bad, right?
Right.
I didn't want to be a negative influence on my kids, and I knew my wife wouldn't ever approve of it. So I only did it when I was at work. Only smoked. And then I come home and she go, "You smoking?" No, I'm not smoking. So and then suddenly I started lying. Now I'm filled with shame. I'm filled with anxiety. I'm filled like what am I doing? But I was addicted at that point. I couldn't stop it. Like I really like smoking. I'm spending money, and I would run to the store every night just to go grab milk or something so that I could have a quick smoke. And then I come back and she's like, "You're smoking." And now I'm completely gaslighting her, telling her she's crazy and all this just to get out of it, right? And finally I had to come to terms with it. I had to create the distance between me and that. And so I had an opportunity where I went on a mission trip that was a 2-week-long mission trip. And I know that I could use that as my distance, creating the distance, because I would be with her and the team 24/7. It's not a place that I could just sneak off and have a smoke. So 2 weeks without it. Now, 2 weeks without it means it's out of my pores and out of my system. Now the addiction is just within me. Okay, so I get back, and now that I've created this space between me and what it was that was choking me out, right?
Yes.
Now, and I could finally breathe again, right?
Yes.
Now I've got to work hard to break the stronghold, because now I'm back into my rhythm. Now I'm back at work and I'm doing these things, right? So now what I did was, in order to double up on the stronghold, was when I went to the store at night, I would take a kid with me. "Chloe,
Okay.
come with me." That didn't give me the opportunity to sneak nothing.
You're keeping that distance.
I had to do it. I had to do it, because if I'm by myself, I'm going to fall right back into it. I had to work hard at breaking that stronghold. I had to put things in place. And crap in, crap out, shower, because all that crap is coming out of me. All that crap is coming out of my pores. And every time I sweated, and I did, the addiction was so heavy, right? And I would do breathing exercises. And that would give me the same feeling that I needed, right? So I worked really hard to break that stronghold. And of course, the other part that was really hard to do is I told my wife. And I shared with her, "Look, this is really what's going on. I'm really struggling here. I need help. I need accountability, and I want to break this." And I did.
That's good, man. Good.
So
Congratulations on that.
It can happen, man. That's the truth. If we work we're talking 2 steps, maybe 3, for getting on and escaping a choke, right?
Correct.
And those same 2 to 3 steps can apply in your real life.
Absolutely.
That's the golden nugget. Isn't that incredible?
It is.
And here's the kicker. Okay, so now you've gotten out of the chokehold in your arming. Now you move. The next steps are pretty simple, and you move from a defensive posture to an offensive posture. Because what do you do after you get that baseball arm and you loop it to the other side? What do?
You turn into them.
You turn into them.
Yes.
And what position are you in at that point?
At that point, you're in full guard.
You're in full guard.
Yes, sir.
You're in the offensive position.
Offensive.
How about that?
They got you in the guard, but it's definitely better than being in the rear naked choke. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Step in the right direction.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
You still got work to do, right?
Keep
Yep.
on fighting. Let's go.
So awesome. So I love it, man.
Yeah.
So again, just thinking through this, when things choke you out, which we experience on a regular basis, when addictions have you, when temptations have you, or maybe just struggling with anxiety, like when anxiety gets the best of you and you feel like your world's crashing in and closing in, and you might even have feelings of suicide, because you feel like, hey, this is the end. It's it.
Yep.
You have an escape. You have an escape. You got to create the distance between you and what's choking you out, and you got to break that stronghold. And I'll tell you one thing: having the accountability around me was key to that. So you've got to find those people that you can link arms with, and grab a hold of and say, man, I need help here. You know, I need help to break this stronghold. Maybe your arms aren't big enough to break that stronghold that's choking you. Maybe you need somebody else to grab it with you. Right?
Yep.
That can happen too. Anything you want to add?
You know, no, I think that's pretty good. You know, rear naked choke, and not just that, but just everything in life. If you're struggling, I would give you like, I'll say the best thing you could do if you don't know what to do. I'll give you something to start off with. Number 1, lift some weights. Number 2, get into MMA. Number 3, spend time with your family and friends, and then see how everything starts going from there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That reminds me of what you said in the beginning. Don't give them your back.
Don't give them your back. Just don't get to it in the first place. But
That's good.
But quick thing that I'll add is if you are there and you don't have, you know, maybe some positive role models or good friends or family, try to check us out. You know, let us know. We can be your support group.
Yes, actually,
We have so many different support groups here. That's why we're doing this. It's why we're starting this podcast. I mean, give us a call, message us, email us, something. I mean, I can guarantee you every single one of us will do whatever they can to try to at least be a shoulder to cry on or somebody to talk to give good advice or something.
Yeah.
if you just want to learn some martial arts too, come check us out, you guys. We have our MMA Brotherhood. It's every
Third Saturday.
Third Saturday of the month. Starts at about 11 a.m.
10 to 12.
10 o'clock a.m. until 12 o'clock p.m. So
It's free and you don't need to be a member.
Exactly. So if you guys want to come check it out, that's the first step to success. A step in the right direction. MMA Brotherhood. If you have any questions, remember, you could always give us a call. 623-282-1140. You could ask for me, Senpai Ninos. If I'm not on the phone, somebody else will be, and they will all help you out too. Okay, you guys? But yeah, that's what I got to say at the moment. Coach Adam, Senpai Brian, anything else you guys would like to add?
No, I think we're good. We can close it up, and again, this is the first of many to come, and we got quite a few topics to talk about that's on the horizon here. So we look forward to next time.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, brothers.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Been a pleasure.
All right, you guys. Oh, and right before we go, Two Knuckle Sports, MMA and fitness franchise. MMA Brotherhood, MMA Youth Outreach. That's what they are sponsored by. See you guys next time.